My background, again, Spencer Hanlon, is 25 years in the corporate world. I've worked for British Airways. I then worked for one of the largest corporate card issuers here in Europe for 16 years. And I've been a GTD fan, advocate, and critically buyer for the last 10 years, for a decade, essentially. And what I'm going to take you through in the next half hour, as smoothly and rapidly as possible, is my experience and the experience of my colleagues in what happened in our organization with corporate culture, with the way we worked amongst each other, and why, for me, GTD was so important. How did we get it into the company that I worked for, into our DNA? The first question you get asked is, why do we need this? Okay, I understand it's worked for you, Spencer, and that's great, and I'm happy for you, but why do we need it at our organization? We're making more money every year, we're hitting our goals. What's the issue? So to take a very trite example, if in your organization, it's typical for every individual, on average, to have 500 emails in their inbox, unanswered, uncleared, unresolved, either bits of information that need to flow around the organization or commitments to each other. And the organization I worked with was 1,000 strong. The maths is very straightforward. Essentially, that means a staggering 500,000 bits of communication, commitment, interface in the organization is sitting and blocking the productivity of that organization. Even if that was an exaggeration, if people said, hold on, half of that is just junk, it doesn't need to be actioned at all, and we just said 50% of it was useless, you've still got 250,000 bits of trust that are being eroded on a daily basis because of this. No one taught us how to do this. And I like to liken it to sand in the gears of a gearbox. 250,000 pieces of sand consistently eroding the efficient work of that gearbox and eventually ending up with breakdown. So the sort of things we did over the course of a decade at the organization I worked in was to lead by example. People will look to you and they will reflect how serious you are about this in bringing it into your organization by how you behave. And you can do it with simple things like getting back to people within 24 hours, your own behavior in meetings, keeping inbox at 0. But the second one I've highlighted is training. And training has to be incremental, and it has to be consistent, and it has to be over time. Changing behaviors that have been ingrained in us since we first went into primary school takes time. And if you want to do that on an organization level, it takes years, maybe decades. So you will see results, but you will not see the ultimate results if you do not stay consistent over time in rolling this out. An example of that is if you change your response to every employee satisfaction survey by rolling out a new initiative year after year, it does not have the same effect as if you stay consistent on supporting people on this. You can upgrade your meeting culture, certainly the meetings that you lead, and repeat the message so that people get it over time. And the definition of culture being the way we do things around here is very much comes from consistent messaging that everyone ultimately feels it becomes part of the wallpaper. Does it have a positive impact? I can give you lots of anecdotal feedback, but this was a result of a quantitative survey that we did 18 months after some of the people had been trained. We did that deliberately because if someone gives you a feedback form, the trainer gives you a feedback form at the end of the training, there is a certain social nicety about what you put on that form. And secondly, if you ask them a week later, they could very much still be in the honeymoon afterglow of the training. Ask them 18 months later, and you're really going to get some credible results as to what's keep going. the 86% of the people who went through this training after 18 months said that they were using some GTD habits. And David says, you don't need to do all of this to move dramatically forward. So whilst we're delighted that 40% said they were using them all, people just bringing on inbox zero, the 2-minute rule, agenda lists, waiting for lists, all dramatically improve the productivity of the individuals who are using it.